Can you get on, Scott? Scott, are you there?
Hi, Laurel. Can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you, but now I can't see you. We're trading.
Hold on.
She's not going to want to do both. She's going to do either all hours or it's one or the other. It's not both. Okay, let's do the 200 for the day. Okay. So then this will.
Are you on? He's coming.
Okay, Laurel, do we have it now?
Look at that. We are here.
Wow. Modern
Awesome.
technology.
I know. So do you live in Utah? You don't live in Utah, do you?
I do. Yeah, I'm originally from Iowa, believe it or not. So we've chewed some of the same cornfields, I'm quite sure.
I'm sure we did.
Yeah. I grew up in a small
Iowa.
town, Marshalltown, just near Des Moines.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Yep. One sec. I'm just texting back the team over at Pitch to tell them we're all fine and
Yeah, no problem.
successfully.
And I will ask to be courteous. Are you sure this is okay? Your voice sounds like you went to a rock concert last night.
Oh, are you kidding? I watched the LSU game. I watched LSU
Oh, there you go.
win. That was a
Oh,
little
that's
loud.
great.
So I don't actually feel that bad. I just sound horrible. So then let's roll.
No, I just appreciate you taking the time. And Audra speaks very highly of you, so I was very
Yeah.
encouraged to kind of dive into things.
Well, my like funny joke is I've been Shark Tanking since before Shark Tank gave us a name. You used to say I was an investor. It'd be like, an investor? What's an investor? And then I just skipped it and I just said, oh, I just do real estate. And then everybody kind of knows what that is, but they have no idea what we really do.
Yeah, you put a label on things and people get kind of esoterically confused, right?
Right. So tell me about your sales to date. Like when you say your Amazon Marketplace with Walmart, tell me kind of just where you are.
Yeah, so current sales, we're running at about $6,000 to $7,000 a month. At one point, we peaked in end of 2017 at about 13,000. And then as every entrepreneur has their own story, we hit some skids. We tried to go a little bit too big, too fast, meaning I bought a physical retail building here in Ogden, kind of revamped it. And it was.
What were you putting in it?
The physical products plus also the online education tools with the 28-day online program. And I don't know how much you've deep dived yet, but we can certainly get into some of those granular details. So
when you do, are you a call center?
No,
do you have a
no,
call
I
center?
think no, I think we have.
And what you're doing.
Yeah, so right now I'm essentially still a solopreneur. My wife does work with me a bit. And then everything else, Laurel, I pretty much hire out just contractually, whether it's Upwork, just things that I need done to the web presence, things like that. I still run all the PPC. And as you know, you've been there, done that. At some point, it becomes bigger than you. And it's your job to build it out. It's your job to do the blood, sweat, and tears and get it past proof of concept. And we hit that about 2 years ago. So beginning of 2019 is when I really kind of what I call got out of my own way. I started going to a lot of events, Angel Investors Network. Kevin Harrington's an implied endorsement on my product. He's used it. He's very well aware of what I've done through my networks. That's when I met Audra, and I went to her event back in November. And she put together a pretty detailed plan. And, she's very good at what she does and the systems and processes. And so she's all over this. Jamie, her husband, has already been helped. I gifted him all the products. And like I hear every single.
Are they consulting you? Like, are they on your team?
They
Is
certainly,
something you can say
once
like-
funded, absolutely, yes.
Okay, once funded, but not today. This is just
Not
more
today.
helping. Okay.
Yeah, it's more helping and advising, and I have their full-fledged, outline here of what they want to do to the company.
So what's your 28-day online? What is that?
So have you ever heard of what's called tension myositis syndrome?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's as real as the sunshine, but I may be
Yeah.
speaking to the choir here, and just stop me anytime, but the reality is we've all been lied to, duped into thinking that a benzodiazepine or an SSRI is going to cure us. It doesn't, as you well know. And you're looking at a guy who 12 years ago was on 4 classes of them, and it went down a pretty dangerous path. So the 28-day online program really was my culmination of knowing, once I took this to market, the 2 things it had to be. Number one is it couldn't just be Scott's opinion. I think the reason it's grown organically the way it has is because I'm a real simple guy from Iowa. I suffered, trying to raise my daughters, and I wasn't being a very good father and husband when you're depressed and you have all these suicidal thoughts. And I mean, it just wasn't a good scenario. But the last thing I wanted to do was build a company that kind of mimicked Big Pharma, which is that magic pill.
Excuse me.
There's no such thing as a magic pill. You have to heal the body cellularly. You have to release the endogenous depression. And I would say that probably, if you pooled 1,000 board certified doctors, probably 990 would not know what endogenous depression even is. So that's really what I did. The culmination of it was products, process, research, protocol, clinicals I ran. But I knew I wanted a program that was self-guided, that people didn't feel isolated anymore. And that's when I hooked up with this doctor in a little town in Michigan. I did a lot of research on him, board certified in internal medicine. He's been helping folks for eons, but it's never been able to scale and leverage because, let's face it, doctors aren't business and leverage guys. They're just great at what they do.
Yeah.
So he has allowed me to brand it to Wake Up Sense. And so I sell that as a back-end 28-day online program, releasing the endogenous depression through intense psychotherapy. And that's actually what Jamie is going through right now, Audra's husband, along with the products. And he said the same thing that I've heard for years now, which is, Scott, I don't know what you're doing, but it's brilliant because I felt better, I've felt in 20 years. So it's a process, and that's what Audra's all over, how she really wants to make this more of a movement and a paradigmatic shift, because that's what it is. It's not just a pill at all.
And so, is there pills attached to it though that are?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So
are they
there's
off the shelf. Or are they something that you've created? So it's
yes,
your
I've
own?
created. Yep,
Okay.
created them. So they're short and sweet, and I'm not a proponent of the $2 billion mask corruption that's called the supplement industry either, because most of them are owned by Big Pharma. So number one is high dose progesterone. If you've ever had children, I think you have too. 95 of your progesterone went locked right through the placenta when you had that baby. And even if doctors do know that, they don't understand what's to come next, which is postpartum depression, because you just lost 95% of the hormone that directs postpartum depression, which is progesterone. So we formulated a high dose progesterone with no phenox ethanol, no dangerous additives whatsoever. Number two is vitamin D, chelated with MK7 in the form of MK2, which again, you're not going to find this in your Whole Foods or natural foods. They just don't understand chelation. They don't understand orthomolecular science, even though it's been around for eons. We also have a what's called BP plus D, which is milk thistle and cinnamon in a 4-to-1 organic mix for liver detoxification and blood normalization for glucose levels. And then the last one, obviously, is our patented Revive, which is the chelation methylfolate with B vitamins. And so that's what really feeds the body cellularly. And once you start doing that, then it's where the 28-day online program really kicks in.
I want to try all this stuff.
What's that?
I said I want to try all that good stuff.
It's really, again, this has been needed for so long, and you're talking to the guy who, did suffer. So this isn't some hobby for me.
Yeah, but
I had to find a better way.
But I also don't think, if you considered, is this really just for depression, or is this also just for energy?
No, not at all.
I mean,
that was the starting point.
Yeah.
That was absolutely the starting point, because I had to get well. Okay. If you read my backstory, Scott had to get well. I was not well, period. But what I learned through this process is, in talking guys to Mumbai, India, talking guys in Puerto Rico, guys that have been healing forever, Loral, because again, I'm just some guy from Iowa. I'm not afraid to ask tough questions. I said, do you realize you're missing 99% of the market, which is just real people working their butt off to try to make a living and raise their children and, be a good person?
Yeah.
Well, they had been healing doctors, high net worth individuals, basketball players, actors for anonymity purposes. They couldn't be out there in the limelight, because of their contracts and whatnot, admitting they were depressed.
Yeah.
So that's what I had to do. And so I really just started taxing these guys. And I said, why don't I create the business, drive it to the market, I'll brand it, I'll leverage it, but I'm going to have to. So I literally went cash poor because when I quit my corporate job,
how much
sorry?
have you put into it? How much money have you-
175,000.
How much?
175,000.
What do you do now for capital? I mean, make 6,000-7,000 a month. That's what you're doing. Right?
Yeah. So our net is still only right about 32%. So I still do consulting on the side, which I would love to be able to get out of once funded.
What kind
I
of
was
consulting?
I was a commodity trader for 20 years. So I still do lumber, commodity hedging and trading and stuff like that. But it takes so little of my time. But again, as you've been there, you've got to, until properly funded and systems in place, you got to be able to keep the lights on, so to speak.
Good. So you're 175,000 in. You're netting 6,000-7,000 a month. You've been doing this for many years. Like when did you come up with the Revive and like the actual formulations?
Yeah. So the very first one, because the way I built it, I wanted this to become a community. There was way too much isolation. So I really targeted women, and especially postpartum women in their menopausal ages, because they've just been lied to, period. There's no other way to say it. And so the first doctor I came up on, we started studying and researching, how are we going to drive this? So the very first one I created actually was the progesterone cream. And that literally, women can take that, Loral, in a day and feel better. Because again, they don't know. Most doctors will prescribe toxic estrogen, which your body as a woman never stops making estrogen, but it becomes a toxic hormone after about the age 35. And if you have any sort of menopausal systems whatsoever after having children, toxic estrogen will never, ever heal your body. It never has. But progesterone absolutely will. So once that started growing, and organically, and I was getting such rave reviews and people are like calling me, bawling their eyes out, literally, Scott, why doesn't my doctor know about this? I knew I was onto something. Well, then I just had to slowly start doing it and bootstrapping it. So then I created Revive, which again is the depression formula, but it's really so much more than that, because you're right. It enhances your energy levels. It starts to build the body cellularly. It enhances the adrenal glands. And then that's why, again.
So people take these pills and they go through your 28-day program, which I can imagine what that is. And how much is the 28-day program?
So right now we're selling it for $377 in a money back guarantee. I've been talking to a lot of people that I trust in the higher circles, and they say you're way too cheap.
You are.
When you rebrand this, you really need to go much, much higher. And Audra is a firm proponent of that too, because she's just brilliant at what she does as far as creating the story around it. So yeah, I believe I believe we could probably double that.
Well, and I'm a big community builder. So if you've seen what I actually do, I mean, I have a massive community that follows me around money and conversations.
I have.
So I love your community idea, but do you have a membership or any of that where people can call in, get support, do some like even weekly calls where they can actually be in conversations together, or is that all online?
No, so it's structured specifically to not be online, so that it's not isolation anymore, because that's what I felt when I was going through it. Yeah. So for instance, if you get on the website now, I did a Google Hangout with a gal who was on Zymbalta for 9 years, and I got her off and, basically interviewed her and then put it online. That went pretty viral, pretty quickly. And then also what I do is interview the doctors. So I'll bring them on, depending on, who's interested, once a month, once every 3 months, depending on, who wants to learn this stuff. But you already picked it out, Loral. That's what I need. You cannot do this as a solopreneur. You've got to have systems and processes. You just have 24/7. My job was to build it out. My job was to find a community. My job was to, now I need influencers. I need people who are as passionate about health as I am. I need people who, and every time I stand on stage or every time I talk to people, the light bulb goes on when it touches them personally. You know, everybody knows depression, anxiety, cancer, all that stuff that we have absolute answers for and not esoteric, you know, out there wording. This is factual. For instance, did you know high dose vitamin C and niacin in intravenous feedings over 30 days absolutely eradicates 100% of cancer cells?
No
It's
way.
been doing it. It's been doing it for eons, but you'll never see that in the mainstream. So
Nice.
thank you for,
And vitamin C.
yeah, vitamin C intravenous with niacin. There's a book written by Andrew Saul that I followed very vehemently when I was first building this, called The Niacin Cure. And it's an absolute, I mean, game changer. But again, you'll never see this on CNN Health News.
Yep.
You should, but that's, if you look at my mission statement, it's never changed. I want to shatter mental health, and I won't stop until I do. I've already done it in a microcosm here in Utah.
No, I get it, but I also think, I mean, there's some different formulations where you could go for the mental health as the big community, but there's other subsets of that. I mean, just the hormones, just the women's, you know, going through menopause. I mean, there's so many subsets that you could use this. Switch. How are you actually selling? Is this all Amazon sales right now? I mean, how are you?
Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to find, you know, new partner, new scale, new systems process, because it's still, I don't have time, obviously, to pack boxes, and you know, it's still Amazon.
30%, right?
Exactly, which I don't like, but that's why we're here.
Okay. Have you thought about any other models for distribution and sales?
Absolutely. I could run down a list of.
If you could pick your fantasy, like, #1 way, what would you pick?
Well, I'm not sure. I wouldn't pigeonhole into one, but I think like tomorrow, for instance, if this is funded tomorrow, you and I and Audra could get on the line, and I mean, it's right here. This is her 7-page path right here to putting Wake Up Sense on the map, and she even wants 10% of my company because I've already helped Jamie. So
can I see that page from Audra?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll email it to you.
I want to
for sure.
see that. Why do you need $675 upfront? Why can't we earn it? So what I would counter is getting less money, which then I would take less than 50%, and we'll earn it. So what I'm known for is making it. I love making money. Anybody can make money. This thing.
Yeah.
It's
get in the game. Yeah.
Money. It's
and let's face it, you're a woman, right? Who's felt some of these pains, I'm sure, in your own personal life. So you get it. And I always say this every time on stage. I hope it's not you, but you don't have to look far, right? In your circles, somebody in your circles has been depressed, and it's debilitating. So good question. 100% transparency, because that's the only way I know how to be. I'm a simple guy from Iowa. Okay. So 2.5.
You know, I grew up in Nebraska, so.
Yeah, you know, 3 years ago, I took on an investor, small investor, that really has not panned out. And what I mean by that is not adversarial. There's no issues, no nothing like that. But he was a CFO. He's a consultant guy for like FedEx. He's a total, I think it's a 682 something Colby score. So if we would have been cash flowing, you know, 50, 100 grand a month, yes, we would need a kick butt CFO. But I thought he came in, he had some people in his life who were depressed. So he was impressed with what I built on my own. So he said, hey, I'll help you out. You know, let's start scaling this thing. But as time went on, you know, the burn rate was still going up and up because of the products. And we just haven't got it because, again, it still falls on my lap. He hasn't helped what I'll call sweat equity in any way. He did help a little bit financially, of course.
How much you can
put
it?
I've got to get $250,000 to get him out. So the good news is, sorry.
How much did you give him for $250,000?
I think it's 42%.
Why that number?
It's just what we negotiated on. But here's the reality.
Okay.
He's all over it. He's like, Scott, I just want out. It's not adversarial. I love what you're doing. I use the products, but it's obvious I can't help you scale. And I'm a real estate guy, and I want to get back to that. So if we need to structure something like seller financing as a payout after we scale, I just need a little today. But that's why I'm offering 50% of the company, Loral, because again, I don't want to make the same mistake twice.
Yep.
Just giving somebody a little equity, they have no skin in the game to help me.
Totally agree.
So that's it. That's why.
Okay. So Audra already texted me. She said, "You love it. I love it." I mean, this is totally in my wheelhouse because I've taken nutraceutical companies from startups to selling them for 42 million bucks. So, I mean, this needs to become, so really, a couple more questions. Is this a monthly dosage? Like, is that a monthly pack that you send? Can you send me like what I would be getting if I'm a client? Can you
So
send
remember, I can, but remember, right now it's still on Amazon. Laura, you just cut out. Oh, there you are. Okay.
There, okay.
Can you see me? Yeah.
Battery.
So remember, right now it's still on Amazon. Audra wants to completely turn that on its butt, and that you'll see in this 7-page document just how the path to get there is, pretty
Well,
real.
it's really fast.
Oh yeah,
But how?
it's
But is this a 30? Is this a 30-day? Like the way that you send it out now? The
yeah,
amount that
they're
you send
consumable.
out, it's a consumable for 30 days.
Correct. But we have about 63% reoccurring on Amazon today, which is the good news, right? So it wouldn't take much of a genius to figure out once we put this third party and put the distribution and the third party sales somewhere else, meaning a site that Audra would build.
I already know where you should put it. So
Okay, great.
yeah, well, there's 2 different companies. Well, maybe 3 because I have a big doctor group out of Orange County, but either in Phoenix with another nutraceutical that I own, or in Vegas with another whole. They're actually a network marketing company because that's another thing that I would talk to Audra about. Is do you take a portion of this and rebrand it and put it right out through some network marketing channels immediately? I mean, there's some of these companies are looking for better products, and this is the package to give them. And Revive is a damn good name. Like Revive just is a network marketing company. I almost had that direction. I know it's the name of the product, but there's a bigger use for it than just the depression.
Yeah.
There's a bigger use.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot. I hope you can see this is not a hobby, number one. Number two, I just, again, you've been there. When you just do something from your heart and you lead something that you know is so needed, I knew I was going to get very cash poor, but I had to, but I could not sell anything online that I couldn't back up, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't cure, treat, or diagnose. The reason this has grown so great, and I think once it's rebranded with Audra, it's just, I mean, it's going to, go viral overnight, is because it is a community. I mean, you look at my Facebook page and people say the same thing. Why doesn't my doctor know about this?
Yeah.
And so the reality is once stuff works, the truth my father always taught me will prevail. And I don't think you don't have to look far. People are not being helped by their doctor. The lies just go so, I mean, I've sat in room with, corrupt judges. I've been there, done that. So again, nothing anybody's ever found in Scott Leifer's writings, collateral material. There's nothing that's not factual. And that's just the way I am, because I knew once this started going, and if I get shot dead tomorrow by Big Pharma, I could really give a shit less because it's an online program. There's nothing I cure, treat, or diagnose. You either follow my personal story, Mr. Customer, or you don't. But they typically do because they want to get well. And when they do, they get well. So I'm truly out of my own way, Laurel. I spent 2.5 years being on my own because that's what you have to do when you're a solopreneur. But I no longer. I just need powerhouse teams. I need people of integrity. Audra's one of them. Jamie's one of them. We've become fast friends. She saw the light like almost instantaneously. She is the missing link as to what I need. I know my skill sets. People follow me because I'm a real guy, right? I can pick up the phone and get people to follow me and buy my products really, really quickly. But what I'm not great at is the systematization part of it.
Well,
and
I'm going to say the part that I'm going to add to the triangle with Jamie and Audra is sales. Like, sell very quickly and way broader than Amazon.
Well, I can tell you this. I'm a firm believer in you increase your network, you just automatically increase your net worth. But I'm also a big believer that money is just a back-end enumeration of how you help, how many you help.
You're right.
And I know how many I've helped, and I know how cash poor I am today, but it really doesn't mean 2 shits to me because I know it's one conversation away. It's one passionate person away. And
okay. So with your permission, Audra and I are already talking about, you're already texting about you. So let me have a conversation with her, and then on private message, I'm going to give you my cell phone, and then let's talk in the next few days.
That sounds wonderful. When you get your voice back, please. I feel bad.
We're good. We're good. I love your product. Look forward to working
Thank
with
you so much.
Absolutely.
I
We'll be
encourage
back in
it. I
touch
want
very
you to
soon.
crawl at me with a fine tooth comb, nothing to hide, not like big pharma. This is as real
Yep.
as it gets. So I
Awesome.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
we'll be in touch.
Take care now.
Thanks.
Mhm.